Hi guys, my name is Sam. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my stats for 2023. When I first started reading again in January, stats was not something that I collected. I just wanted to get back into reading because I really missed the hobby. And I also didn't know that I would be returning to BookTube, so it was not something that I cared to collect. However, this is a video that I watch a lot of other booktubers do and enjoy, and I thought it would be a good thing for me to look back on for next year. So I decided to throw together some stats based on my reading journal. If you guys have any suggestions on other stats I should collect or how it would be easier for me to collect these stats because I don't have a stats section in my reading journal, let me know down in the comments below. But I've collected what I thought would be interesting and also things that I made goals on for 2024 to see what's my starting point for some of the goals, such as reading more diversely. That way I can see my improvement. So let's get into the stats. I'm going to start off with the Goodreads stats because they don't collect that many. I'm going to throw up my page up here. And in total this year, I've read 70 books, which equates to 24,912 pages. Obviously, I wasn't reading for 2 years prior to this. And when I was on BookTube, I think I only read like 24 books that first year. So this is amazing for me. And as you know, if you've watched my goal video, my goal for next year is only going to be 75. My boyfriend thinks I should push it to 80, but I'm going to stick on the lower end just in case. And anyways, I'm really happy with meeting 70. Then we have the shortest book that I've read this year, which was Between Periods by Hannah Cohen. It's a novella within the Swift Hat Trick trilogy. Then I have the longest book that I read this year, which is, to no surprise, a Sarah J. Maas book, A Court of Wings and Ruin, with 703 pages. And next year, it probably will be another Sarah J. Maas book because no books are as long as hers. Then we have my average book length, which was 355 pages. Which is average for me. I don't like to read long ass books. Something that I don't really care about. I honestly don't know why this is a stat on Goodreads, but most shelved and least shelved. And obviously the most shelved, once again, is a Sarah J. Maas book with A Court of Thorns and Roses. I'm last on the train to reading this book. And least shelved was Cruising on Ice by Carrie Evelyn, which was a book that I got off Stuff Your Kindle Day. So that makes sense because it's an indie book. And honestly, it wasn't even that good. On here, it says my average rating for 2023 was 3.9 stars, which is amazing to me. I did not do half stars this year, aside from in December and November. I decided to make like three books that I read. I was like, no, like they need that little extra boost. So this average rating is accurate for the most part, but next year I will have the calculations for half stars in there because I'm going to be doing half star ratings. And it obviously will differ from the Goodreads average rating, being that they don't collect that data. That's pretty much it for the Goodreads stats. So let's get into the stats that I collected. I do have a couple of graphs or pie charts that I kind of threw together last minute for this video. Starting with star ratings, the pie chart I made doesn't break it down by how many is in each category, so I'm going to quickly let you know that. For 1 stars, I had 2 1 stars this year, 5 2 stars, 16 3 stars, 2 3.5 stars because, like I said, in December those books just wasn't given 3, but they weren't given 4, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and give them the 3.5. 17 4 stars, 1 4.5 star. I swear this is gonna be better next year when I actually devote myself to doing these half stars. But anyway, and then 27 5 stars. So as you can see from the chart and based on what I just told you, more than 50% of my reading was within the 4 and 5 star range, and I'm really happy with that because that shows me that I'm picking up books that I know I'm going to enjoy and love, and that's all I can ask for during my reading journey. Aside from books that are rated, I also had 15 DNFs, which I obviously don't rate. I just have a shelf on my Goodreads for books that I DNF. And also, if you were specifically interested in just the 5 stars, that made up 38% of my reading. Next, I have genres, And I remember talking in my goals video about how one of my more specific goals within reading diversely was to read from other genres. And I said that I hadn't read more than 10 books in a genre outside of romance. But then when I calculated based on the genres that Goodreads slots these books into, it was more than 10. It was actually 15. However, a lot of the books within the other categories that are not romance had a heavy romance aspect to them or relationship that played a big part in the plot, which is why I didn't count them. For instance, the ACOTAR series, especially ACOMAF, like that book was all about the romance for me. So while it may seem like based on the goal that I made, these stats are wrong, they're technically not, but I'm still going to keep the goal of reading 10 books outside of the romance genre because a lot of these books did not count towards that to me. Anyways, I read 8 fantasy, 2 thrillers, 1 contemporary, 1 nonfiction, 1 horror, 1 magical realism, and 55 romances, which is why you can see I'm saying I want to make this a goal, because 55 romances out of 70 books that I read, that means that 78% of my reads were only romance. Then I have format, how I read the book. I read 16 physical books, 32 ebooks, 19 audiobooks, and 3 books mixed between more than one of those formats. And I know I read way more ebooks than the other 2 categories, but I did just get my Kindle this year. So I'm proud of the fact that I still read a decent amount of physical books and audiobooks. I'm happy with that stat as is. Obviously, I would like to pick up more physical books, especially as more books are coming in to my home, and I want to make sure that I'm keeping my TBR at a reasonable level. Next, I have the source where I got the book from. I read 19 books that I owned, 16 books from the library, and 35 Kindle books. Then I have audience, which I only tracked 2 ways. So I separated it between YA and new adult/adult because, like I said, I wasn't keeping track throughout the entire year. So it was pretty hard to like throw this all together while I'm staring at 70 books all at once. If I was doing it book by book as I was reading them, it would have been much easier. But I read 13 YA, which is honestly more than I thought, because some of the books that were considered YA, I didn't even notice. Like, I didn't notice they were YA, they didn't read YA to me, and it honestly didn't bother me. And then 57 new adult books. And so adult made up 81% of my reading this year. And I'm not mad about that because, like I said, I didn't even know I was picking up YA books. So I'm just happy that they even had a place on this chart. Next, I have my series stats, which is not really stats to begin with. I just counted up how many series I've read from this year and how many I'm actually going to be continuing. And this is solely for the purpose of that a series goal is on my 2024 goals for the year. I read from 40 series and I'm only going to be continuing 17. Some of these 17, the next book is not even out yet. It either comes out in 2024 or I'm already caught up, but I still did make it a goal that I would be down to 10. So essentially I want to finish or catch up on 7 series this year. That does not include any series that I start in 2024. Next, I have my BIPOC author stats, which I'm pretty sad about, which is why reading diversely is going to be a big goal of mine next year. But 8 out of the 70 reads had BIPOC authors. Some of them were repeat authors, which is why it's really sad to me, because I feel like at least they could have been from different people. But I'm going to try my best to make this a wider array next year. Next, I have my LGBTQIA plus stats, and this I did the stats based on rep in the book, not on authors. But if this is something that you think I should track next year, let me know. And this is also another one that's pretty sad, but 5 of the books that I read this year had queer representation in them. And I have disability and mental health rep, and this one I also did haphazardly, so it's kind of just based on what I remember from the book, and that with that knowledge, 9 of the books that I read this year had disability or mental health rep in them. If you have any recommendations for any of those categories, please leave them down below in the comments. The last 2 categories of stats that I have to talk about are really just my best and worst reading months based on different things. So the first one I'm going to talk about is based on amount. If you follow me on Instagram, you would know that my best reading month based on amount was December because I read 9 books. And my worst reading months were January and September, which I'm not too mad about. I read 3 books each those 2 months, but January, like I said, was when I was getting back into reading, and September was my son's birthday, and we had a lot of family come into town, and I had just a lot of planning to do in general, so it's okay. And then the last category is my best reading months by star rating. In February, I had my best reading month because 4 out of the 7 books that I read were 5 stars. And then July was my worst reading month by star ratings because I had no books that were 5 stars and I read 5 books that month. So that is all the stats that I have to share with you today. Like I said before, if you have a easy way for me to track stats or a suggestion on other stats that I can or should be tracking, please let me know down in the comments below, as well as any suggestions that will help me reach my diversity goal for 2024. So queer, disability, or mental health rep, or queer or BIPOC authors. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.